put into what's like a suicide cell where they strap you down at 4 points, and they would take turns coming in and punching you in the stomach and laughing and seeing who could. I knocked the wind out of him. I win. You know, it was like a game to them that they were trying to break us like that. Like.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment. Comments are important. And today, because of your comments, I'm bringing Jimmy Mack back on the show by popular demand. People wanted, to know about what he was talking about the Cowboys, about the cops trying to beat people down, stuff like that. So we're going to get in with Jimmy Mack. Right now, if you haven't got a t-shirt, hit us up on freedomfighterspc at gmail.com. Grab you a t-shirt. Got the official YouTube t-shirts. Need you guys to rock these, man. Support the mission. Buying the t-shirts helps us and helps us with what we're doing, man. So anyway, Jimmy, man, I'm bringing you back on the show. The people wanted to hear it from you. I'm going to tell people right now, there's been people that commented that they wanted to donate, man, to your cause to try to help you out. So we're going to put your link on there, your Cashapp. Most of you guys know from the story, man, Jimmy done over 20 years. He's been through a lot. He's at a sober living house where he's just in a room. So anybody that wants to help out, man, whatever, man, 10, 15, 25 bucks, whatever you can do, Jimmy would definitely appreciate it. And honestly, man, he's one of them dudes that needs the help. A couple dudes mentioned that they might have a couple boards they want you to hook up. They can hit you up on Facebook. I'm going to put your Facebook stuff on here. They can contact you directly and, maybe get you to do a couple skateboards for them, bro. But anyway, Jimmy, what's up? How you feeling today?
Good morning, Chad. First and foremost, I appreciate that you're giving me the opportunity to come on your show again. I think that, the more that I looked into it and the more I've watched your shows from previous recordings, man, you really did it, man. And I have my sights, my future goals, hopefully to write a book myself. It's basically going to just be about my life as what I experienced, what I did, what I seen, what I participated in, and the things that go on inside the prison system. Basically the same thing you did, as when we were cellies, how we would discuss help coming out and helping the youth, troubled teenagers and young men and women that might be making mistakes or getting involved in gangs or crime or drug addiction. And I'm really proud of you, Chad. I mean, you really did it, man. I mean, I remember your title of the book when we were in a cell together, man, and you did it, man. And God bless you, man. And I take my hat off to you, man. And I like that shirt, man. I think I'd like to, when I get a couple dollars, I want to order me one, man.
No, I'm going to send you one for free today. Listen, man, I want to, let the people know, man, it's like 6:45 in the morning where Jimmy's at. He's up early, man, for the interview, so I appreciate you. Look, man, I want to talk about the Nazi lowriders. I want to start out with that, right? How old were you when you went to federal prison, Jimmy, when you first walked into the prison system?
Oh, Chad, I mean, that was so many years ago, and I think you had just commented, unless it was a little hiccup in the audio, I think you told the viewers that I was in for 2 years or something. I was in for 22 years plus some change. Well, before I did that, my troubled life, man, I did 5 years in Oregon State Penitentiary, and I was only out for 90 days. I did 5 years there. I was out for 90 days, and then I went in 95, basically end of 95, beginning of 96, and went into the federal prison system finally in the end. And I just now pretty much got out about a year and a half ago. I had a really troubled start in the beginning, the culture shock, I signed up for being stared at and judged. I don't blame anybody for judging me. The only thing I struggle with nowadays and what hurts me inside is, all I do is I don't ask anybody to respect me, man. I don't ask anybody to trust me. But all I do ask you is if you just give me a chance to earn some respect from you, to maybe earn some trust from you, man. That's all I want. I don't want free respect. I got that on them yards, and that was out of fear, and it's hard, man, because just as I can really put my feet in minorities' shoes now, man. I get out here, man, and I get judged immediately. I get on a bus, people won't even talk to me. I won't say everybody, because there are a lot of kind and nice and generous and compassionate people in society, and that's what bounces me out through the day to make me want to push forward and still do what you're doing and not give up or get sour. And before that, I did 14 years in the California State Penitentiary. Well, when I was a teenager, I started off in the California Youth Authority. So it's just like, I've been down 38 years. I've been out maybe 2 years out of that time. 9 months at one point when I was really, really young. 6 months, and then came up to live with my sister and ended up doing 5 years in OSP, and then got out for 90 days and ended up going into the federal prison system and came out 22 years later. So, I can sit here and say, man, I involved into an old man and I have so much regret, remorse, but you know what? I'm still alive, Chad, man. And as long as I can breathe and as long as I'm still able to function and talk and sooner or later, I want to be welcomed into my community. I don't want to just be pushed into it through case managers or a parole office. And then, people resent the fact that I'm in their community. I want to earn that respect, man. I want to earn that trust. I want to be a welcome part of a community. I want to be an asset to society. And I really feel that I'm actually starting that. I have a lot of my support group. I couldn't ask for, if I could have handpicked a support group, I don't think I could get a better one. I got 5 case managers. They're all ladies. They know that I have a real trust issue with men because of growing up in the prison system. Not that it's, in the beginning, it was ran by nothing but males, but, out here, I still have trust issues because I've been lied to so much by my own species of male, and so these ladies, they're bless their hearts, man. They help me, man. I go to appointments constantly. I've never had a job. I want to work, but they're trying to put me on disability, which is going to take maybe a year or two. So I busy my time so I don't sit with idle time and end up thinking about drugs or crime or anything like that. So I constantly, literally, like almost every single day, I'm going to an appointment. And I like it. Some people go, man, how could you do that, man? How can you huff that bus in that Mack system and go to these appointments and have to sit there for an hour and wait and talk to people? And I enjoy it. These people are the people I trust now. These are the people that I go seek advice from and counseling. And without them, I would be on the streets wandering around. Without them, I would be, high and addicted to drugs. And even though I would still not want to be the person that would at my age with a conscience now want to commit a crime, want to steal from people, want to hurt people, even though I still in my heart would not want to do nothing like that. I know of drug addiction, the ugly face that it rears, that if you allow yourself to be addicted and have to depend on a dependency of drugs and alcohol, it will change you, or it will make you, control you to go commit a crime, to go steal from people, to start not caring about people and to start not having respect for anybody else, including yourself. If you can't respect yourself, you can't expect anybody can't expect you to respect them, because you can't even respect yourself. And the more you can't respect yourself, the more you're going to despise yourself. The more you despise yourself, the more you're going to hate yourself. And the more you hate yourself, the more you're going to take it out on society.
I want to ask you a question when you say that, right? Because do you think, man, when people are in prison, man, that they're just so hurt, so disappointed that it's easy to just go stab someone, to take out your anger on someone else? Do you think that's why a lot of dudes do shit like that? Because dudes stab people in prison for no reason all the time, man. They make up excuses, bro.
Yeah, and a lot of them they'll try to justify it, and they'll try to, justify why they're doing it or why they did it, or hey, I don't care. And that, that's where it boils down to. Some people, I don't care. I hate society. I hate prison system. I hate people. I hate myself. So now I want to hate you even more. And I think people generally, that's what they do. They want to take it out on people. They want to flick that pain that they have inside themselves. But see, even all the time I did, Chad, all the prison time I did, I never blamed nobody for it. I knew I signed them checks for myself, man. I always held even as a teenager, even as a young man, even as an old man now, I've always held myself accountable. Now, I might not like the fact that I have to hold myself accountable, and I would like to at times point my finger and blame other people and not hold myself accountable. But you can only lie to other people and manipulate other people. You can even manipulate yourself and lie to yourself for a while. But your heart of hearts, in your mind, if you're half intelligent or can use common sense, you're going to realize what you did it, And I've always been that man, that young man, kid, whatever, that if I did something, hey, man, I'll own it, And so I never blamed anybody. I never blamed society that, oh, poor me, I went into the prison system. Hey, I thought I would never get out of the prison system. I never tried to get out of the prison system. Matter of fact, I did everything I can to make them keep me in the prison system, because I knew I couldn't. I knew from a teenager I couldn't function out here because, when I was a child, I wasn't allowed to go to school, man, because I had so many marks on me. I grew up with a black eye if it wasn't on the left, it was on the right. If it wasn't on the right, it was on both of them, and cigarette burns and cracked ribs. And, a teacher couldn't walk by me without me flinching like that. I mean, my dad beat me so bad that we had to move from one house to an apartment to another house, from one part of the neighborhood to the other side of the neighborhood, from that neighborhood over to the next neighborhood, and and so on and so on and so on. So I never got an education. So as I grew up, between hiding from my dad and not being able to be in the house, I grew up on the streets. I grew up on, with the older kids taking care of me. That was my family unit. That was my big brother. That was my dad figure that called the shots with them guys. And any girlfriend that I got, I had the worst out of both spectrums of parenting. I had a dad that abused me physically so bad that I could never even go to school, that I had a mother that compensated with that, with whatever money she could give me, and pick me up and drop me off and put me in movie house theaters in the afternoon so the truant officers and cops wouldn't see me walking around on the streets, to the point where, my playground was Venice Beach and Santa Monica Beach and Santa Monica Amusement Park. And, I look back on it now, and, I was just a beacon sign for weirdos and child molesters. And, I never had a friend. I never could take nobody to my house. I never had friends other than the older kids that were already getting involved in drugs and getting involved in burglaries and crime, and that I looked up to, that I thought were my friends. But, the first few times I had an adult approach me and want to give me money to play the arcades and then, take me out and stuff, that turned into, I've been molested several times, man.
You're all right, man. You're all right. Let's move to a different topic, man. Get your mind off that stuff, man. Let's talk about because you grew up hard, so we'll stay there, but we'll go in a different direction. You ended up becoming a Nazi lowrider, right? Gang member. How did that come about, Jimmy? What was that, because you wanted to be accepted? Was this your family? Did it happen at the youth authority?
Well, I always knew who the Nazi lowriders were. a lot of people, because I grew up in the California state system, a lot of people, they have the concept that, you know, all these dudes from California are gang members but that's not the case. And when I was growing up, and I can't speak for it now because I've been out of that prison system for so long, but when I first went in the California state system back when I was growing up, you only had 3 white gangs. I can't speak for the Latino gangs or the African American gangs, but you only had 3 white gangs. You had an AB, an Aryan Brotherhood gang, and then their underlinks were the Nazi lowriders, and that was usually their pulling pond of who they were going to make as them. So that was big homies, little homies, and that's only because they locked up the brand. They couldn't walk the line. They were so violent and had so much control over running the prison system and having people hit and extortions and everything else that they slammed them all. And they did what they did with me and ADX and all that stuff. They get rid of you. They try to hide you away. We still find ways to communicate back and forth. So they gave the okay and allowed another white gang to be on the yard as long as we could trickle up information and trickle up money and you know, have a means of still controlling the prison systems. So that became the Nazi lowriders out of it really started in California Youth Authority, but quickly blossomed into the California state adult prison yards. Then they did the same thing. They said, you know what, these Nazi lowriders are too violent. They're extorting people. They're creating too much problems on the yards of these California state yards, at the gang task forces that they have on these yards and all of that stuff keep trying to contain. And so they slammed all of them. So then the brand and the Nazi lowriders, they said, you know what, we'll let another gang start on the yard. And they called it the P9 Skins. It originally started out of Orange County and Anaheim. But I don't know from there if they got all locked up and then now there's another one. But at my time, there was only 3 white gangs. I never wanted to join a gang in prison because I was already a gang member on the streets. And when I went into the feds, Tommy Silverstein and Barry Mills, they caught what's considered a RICO Act, is what they originally started for the mob, the actual mafia guys. Well, that's sprouted off into where they started trying to put the RICO Act on like organizations as big as like Hell's Angels and so on and so on. Tommy Silverstein and Barry Mills and several other dudes and some Nazi lowriders, they all got a big case back in the day. And anytime you get a RICO Act, it's federal. So that actually is what opened the doors and brought the gang mentality into the federal prison system. Because when I first went into prison system, it was like a rich man's prison system. They had tennis courts and it was club fed. That's where the term club fed came in. And so when I first came in, there was a lot of gang activity, but I wasn't a gang member. So, but what I did want to do is I wanted to gangbangs on my own level, my own personal level, because I was a gang member still from Los Angeles, from the streets. So I stabbed a couple of dudes, and to my surprise, I had got stabbed back a couple times really quick. And at this time, gangs always seek out soldiers, and they knew I was a soldier. They knew my reputation. They knew my name, all the way trickling from the California state yards to the federal yards. And I had, because just having the name, and and that's why you got New York and East Coast does not like California. California, they have a real persona about them, like they think they're better than everybody because they invented the word gang or this or that. And so I asked my homeboys that were the California guys and the Oregon guys and the West Coast dudes, you know what? Why they got the audacity to stab me? Don't they know who I am? They're like, they're going to continue to stab you, dog. I mean, you ain't got nobody behind you, but at the same time, they're thinking, we can get this dude now. We can pull him. He will come to us because he wants to do this activity. He just can't do it on his own. He's going to realize that. And now there's all kinds of white gangs in the federal prison system because that's blossoming like wildfire. Everybody wants to be a gang member. You got skinhead movement gangs that are really real overly racist, racial gang members. You know, they believe in, the Aryan movement and this and that. They're more of a movement, but than a gang banger and a gang member. Then you got these gangs that actually formed on these yards. One's called ARM, Aryan Resistant Movement or something, and the other one's called SAC, which SAC got a RICO case out of Utah, which brought them into the feds, and their original name was Skinhead Assassination Crew. But Tin Man and his brother Taz and Snuff, which Snuff ended up catching several bodies in the feds. Them guys were Utah boys, but the RICO Act brought them into it, and they just started making everybody. So you got all these white gangs blossoming. I mean, within a 2-year time, literally thousands and thousands of white guys became gang members and started trying to learn the 101 book of being a gang banger and a gang member. Everybody gets that little bit of power, and people, they start realizing people are fearing them and starting to roll the red carpet out for them and kiss their butt and all this stuff. So it's just like a lot of them people aren't used to being able to have that power, and they get what's called power drunk. And that's where all your violence and your unnecessarily violence comes in. If I have the authority to tell other white guys on the yard, go do this, go do that, or you're going to get done. And, after a while, they just turn into a nonsense, violent person. And the more trouble they get into and the more time they lose and the more cases they catch, they become hateful. They know they've done roped themselves into never getting out. So now they really want to make all these other kids. Misery loves company. Anytime you're going to grow old in the prison system, you see these kids come in and they can be potential good soldiers for you. And when we call F-boys, I don't want to cuss on your show, but F-boys, it just turns into a really bad system, man. But what I'm getting at, and the question at hand that you asked me was, what made me want to become a Nazi lowrider? Well, because for one, if I was going to join a gang, I wouldn't want to join any other gang except California, because that's where I was born and raised. And they only had a couple of gangs in there, the AB brand and the Nazi lowriders. They didn't really have any other gang. You had the Utah gangs, you had these gangs, you had them gangs, and you had several other gangs, and every one of them wanted me because they seen that I already put that knife in my hand, and they already seen that you didn't have to tell me to go do something. I wanted to go do it, and I was going to do it, and you couldn't even talk me out of it. So the big factor was that the administration and the gang task forces that they had in the feds was so naive that they didn't even have the idea of slamming these guys. So we didn't have to get slammed. We could be gang members and be active and sit out there and eat pints of ice cream and hang out on the yard and sit there and plot and manipulate and turn officers out over and, turn them into corrupt officers and so on and so on and so on. So I said, you know what? If I need a gang behind me, so these dudes don't retaliate on what I personally really want to do, then I'm going to join the Nazi lowriders. And that's how I became a Nazi lowrider. I joined for 1 year. For 1 year, you get prospected. And then at the end of that year, they come together as a meeting and they all vote. And if they vote you in, then that day that they put you up, that next year becomes your birthday. So every year is your little special day. If you're in the shoe, it might be a couple cups of coffee and somebody might throw you to dessert. If you're out on the yard, the homeboys get together and you got top ramens and, so it actually becomes your birthday. So that makes you feel more like you got a family. I don't need my old birthday. I don't need my old family. I got my family, my comrades. Them are my brothers. Let me tell you something, man. once you actually get in and there's no way of getting out, all the secrets and all the things that the family holds, just like any family, even in society, everybody has them secrets and skeletons in their closet. And let me tell you something, when my eyes opened and I understood really what happened with a lot of my comrades and all that, I was disgusted at that point, but I didn't care. I just knew I had an army behind me and a reputation of these guys you don't mess with these dudes. So I can do anything I want to do. And I wreaked havoc for years and years and years and years and years until they put me in a cage half the size of this room for 11 straight years. And then that's happens to be the sacrificial lamb that made me soul search and take a look back at myself and realize what I had became, what I created myself into. And well, I'm going to tell you, when you got to stare at that ugly mirror and see the ugliness that you created, and you ain't got nobody else around to, because a real friend, Chad, just like our discussions, a real friend's going to tell you what you need to hear. A fake friend is going to tell you what you want to hear. And let me tell you something, when you ain't got nobody to tell you what you want to hear, and you got to stare yourself in that ugly mirror and see all them ugly characteristics about you and what you've done, hey, man, I was disgusted with myself, man. I despised myself. That's when I had to soul search, and that's when I had to want to be able to become a better person. And I did a lot of practicing on my own right there in that room, for 8 years. This has been a work in process, man. For 8 years, I've been changing. For 8 years, I've been trying to reprogram myself, how I talk to people, how I'm going to earn respect, the things that I want to do. Like I volunteer at this place called the Cascade H Project here in Portland, Oregon, where I go to my case managers are there and stuff, and I go to them and I ask them, what can I do? Can I help? Or and because I don't know how to do any of this stuff on my own, they give me my advice. They give me it because I trust them, because they've earned my respect. They've earned my respect way before I earned any of theirs. Because let me tell you something. In the beginning, when I couldn't understand how to function in society, and I kept self-medicating and relapsing after these ladies that just jumped through hoops and bent over backwards to help me get set up into this house and to help me get set up with this bus pass and this food stamp card and this, and I would just time after time after time, man, I would let them help me do all this stuff. And I would get so bored because I didn't have any friends. And the places that they were putting me in the beginning was, and they weren't doing it intentionally. They were just doing it because that's all the resources they had to offer. But and I'm not taking nothing away from like the mentor program down on 3rd and Cooch, which is like the worst part of downtown Portland. They give you a room, and if you have the strength to do the right things and the wisdom and understanding, intelligence to know how to go out and do stuff, it's a successful program. Is there an unsuccessful percentage out of it? It's probably higher than the guys that make it. But for me, it was almost like I was being, and I always use that as an excuse that why I would relapse, is because you set me up for failure. You set me up for failure. You put me in a place where it's nothing but drug addicts and gang members, and you put me. But really, what would happen, Chad, is I would do good for a week or two, and I'd have my sights set to be that better person and go out and start earning this respect. But I suffer from loneliness, man, through them years of incarceration, them years of watching my family die off, them years of being in a cell by myself. So when I would get lonely, I'd go out of my room, I'd go out of the building, and I'd walk around. And the only people, like I would try to go find people that weren't drug addicts or that were going to get jobs or this. They didn't want nothing to do with me, man. All these tattoos, and I still had a little bit of that convict skin. I thought I could implement good prison politics into society's laws and rules and regulations, which that was the stupidest thing and I was really convinced that might strengthen me even more. society don't want nothing to do with society don't want nothing to do with prisoners or convicts and gang mentality and all that. And regardless how good you might think it is or how good it might really be, they don't want that. They're going to get rid of you. If you start intimidating them or scaring them, first and foremost, they're not going to want you around them. And that's what they were doing with me. They were like, dude, man, I don't know you. No, you can't be my friend. And so it left me with the few friends that I could make were addicts and relapsing addicts and so on and so on and so on. So, I mean, I felt like I was being set up for failure constantly. And, you know, my parole officer, I went and I wasn't court ordered. I finally couldn't take it, the relapsing and the emotional breakdowns and all that stuff, that I went and turned myself into a detox center. I didn't even know what the word detox meant. Somebody on the streets that was an active user and a homeless person, but was somebody that seen something in me and kind of felt for me, told me, they said, hey man, you're going to kill yourself out here, bro. You don't know how to eat to begin with, and you really don't know how to eat when you're on drugs. The way you look and the way you're acting, you're either going to go into a mental hospital the rest of your life, or you're going to go to the coroner's office, or you're going to go back to prison. And at this point, my judge, bless her heart, Ann Akins, a legend, she would refuse to put me in prison. As long as I didn't hurt nobody and as long as I didn't commit a crime, it was like, yeah, I'm not sending you back to prison. Because I cried in court several times and begged her, send me back to my environment. So I went to detox on my own. And, you know, most people like me that are, you know, on parole or you know, relapsing parolees and probationees, and they're told by your judge or they're told by your professor, okay, look, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm not going to put you in jail. I'm not going to put you in prison, but you're going over here to this detox, and then you're going to go into a treatment center. They didn't do that with me. They pretty much was going to teach me a lesson. And like, you want to be a junkie? You want to be a drug addict? You don't want to do anything with your life? Fine. Go have a fun day, man. Get out of here. And I was like, oh man, this is great, man. I can do this now, and I ain't even got to run around and be worried about it. Yeah, that can only last for a few days. At my age now, and the stuff that they have on these streets now, I could only go 3 or 4 days before I start losing my mind or getting sick. So I literally almost crawled in on my own for help to a detox center, which then I talked to their case managers and stuff and spilled my story about how I can't do this drug relapsing, and I don't want this for my life. And, you know, I want to be this better person that I had my sights set on. Can you help me? And they were like, okay, well, we can put you in this one treatment center that's willing to take you. And I went in there and I actually graduated, because I went in there and I told myself, look, I made these plans. I made these oaths to myself for the last 8 years that I was going to try to be a better person, and I want to earn this respect and all that. So I'm not going to waste these people's time. I'm not just going to use this to hang my head in there and get better and my belly full and my eyes with some sleep. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to listen to everything these people have to say. I'm going to do everything they're telling me to do. And I went to every class and I did all my homework and I did all my treatment program, and it's an inpatient treatment center. So it's not like I can go out and run around or sneak off to the store and do my little thing and come back. You're in this building. You can leave, but you can't come back in. So I stayed in there for almost 90 days. At the end, I graduated, got a certificate, got a little gold coin. My parole officer and my judge was so surprised and so proud of me that they pretty much made that place have a Zoom graduation for me. And so they could see it, because they wouldn't let them in because of the anonymity or confidentiality of seeing other people. So they literally did a Zoom thing, and, you know, it really made me feel proud of myself that I finally accomplished something. And that's where I'm on the track now where, what I was getting at is I told my parole officer, I said, look, man, I'm getting out of this treatment center but I'm going to be set up for failure again if I'm being put right back down in the downtown area. And she said, my parole officer's name's Diane. She said, okay, well, let me see what I can do. I'll try to get you out of there. And they put me out, man, into another part, not even in Portland, another part. And man, I loved it, man. For 5-6 months, man, I didn't even have a craving, didn't have a relapse. I had a beautiful room, a community that was actually friendly, and I loved it. I was sitting on top of the world, man, and I was really conquering a lot of these goals that I was setting up for myself. But I was in a house that I had not had to be voted into. I was in a house that my parole officer and my housing case manager, April, pretty much got me pushed into. And I thought these guys in this house really accepted me. And that's been one of my biggest problems. Nobody wants to accept me, to give me that chance to earn respect, to give me that chance to earn their trust. So I was fooled into thinking that these were my friends because they would talk to me and they helped me out a little bit here and there. And, you know, oh my God, man, at the end of 5 months of a great, clean and sober living life, they started changing and they stopped talking to me. And then they started talking about me, like right in front of me. And, you know, we have a house meeting once a week. And at the end of that house meeting, after this 5 or 6 months, you know, I got up because you're allowed to have your little moment to talk, to vent, to ask questions or whatever. That's your time to, your house it's a mandatory meeting and you have to come together once a week, just like we did this Thursday. And, you know, I got up and I said, what did I ever do to anybody in this room, man? To go from where we've been going to where we're at the last couple of weeks, that I've been kind of just not saying nothing because I've been hoping it would just get better, and it's not getting better. What have I done to anybody in this house? And they were like, you know what, dude, we never wanted you here, man. But see, the thing is, Chad, none of them had been to jail. None of them had been to prison. And, you know, okay, maybe they had a right. They didn't want an ex-convict in their house, or maybe that scared them. Maybe they thought I was a thief, or I'd steal their stuff, or I would hurt them, you know. But they never allowed me. I messed up and put my guard down and didn't see it, and I exposed a lot of my weaknesses to them because I thought I was bonding with my new friends. And I told them the things that scare me, and I told them the things that that are my weaknesses, you know. And you know, in the end, when they wanted to have fun with me, you know, they used them weaknesses against me, and it started bothering me, you know. And they told me they never wanted me there. And they thought for sure that I would relapse. Immediately you get kicked out.
But listen, man, you're out here doing good now. So what they had to say, man, that shit shouldn't even hurt you, man. You can't let people with dirty feet run through your mind, Jimmy. Listen, man, I never seen you like this, dude. You're vulnerable. Listen, hold on. Listen to me, man. You gotta let me talk, Jimmy. You gotta let me talk. Look, man, I never seen you like this, bro. I never seen you vulnerable. Never seen you break down. Hold on. Let me talk, bro. And you know what, man? You're all right. This shit is real, man. That's why I say this is real and this is raw. And hopefully your story will help change other people, man, so they don't have to go down the road that you're going down. The things that you said today on this show, you know, you're broke down, but man, for real, man, fuck those people, man. Because it's about you. I know who you are, bro. I know you have the potential to be a very dangerous dude. I've seen you do shit. I've seen you put in work. But, man, that shit's behind us now, man. Now it's about you. Look where you're at now. That's what you have to be concerned with, man. You have to be concerned with what's now, man. Fuck that. We're moving on. That shit's over with, bro. You understand that? You're a gangster, man. I know that. But a gentleman, too.
I understand that, Chad. Huh?
You're a gangster, but you're a gentleman now, man.
Yeah, the only point I was making, though, after that meeting and what they had to say, which, you know, really hit, it was like getting hit with a sucker punch, man. I didn't see it coming. And, you know, when you're not welcome and you really realize you're not welcome here, who wants to be where they're not welcome? And I use that as a weak excuse to relapse. But then I had to live in a Motel 6 for 2 weeks that my casing house manager got me into until they could find me another place. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to take forever. And then at this point, they're saying, okay, you got to go to this house. And then if they don't take you, we'll figure out another. And I'm thinking, I'm hating this motel. Everybody in there's using. I immediately relapsed from that house and used that as a weak excuse that, well, everybody hates me. Everybody doesn't give me a chance. I'm going to just get high because I want to self-medicate. I don't want to deal with that. But so I had to sit in a Motel 6 for 2 weeks and literally pretty much just shut the door and stay in the room because everybody in this motel was getting high. And I knew a lot of them and they were offering me stuff. And I was like, no, because my case manager was really involved with getting me this motel voucher and to check in on me. And you know, I had still relapsed at the point where she got me into this motel and she came over. It broke my heart, man, to start thinking about how much they're going out of their way. And I didn't want to sit there in that motel room that whole time being high. So I made myself detox in that motel room on my own. And for 2 weeks, I stayed clean. And so my first interview, where I actually had to come and meet a house, answer questions, be put on a hot seat, be shot scenarios of what will I do if this scenario comes up? How will you handle this? And I thought to myself, man, there's no way I'm going to get voted in, because you have to be voted in just like the gang thing. You have to be voted in by everybody. One no vote, you can't get into the house. I didn't think I had a chance in the world, man. And these people in this house, they all voted me in because they heard my story like I'm telling you. And bless their heart, man. The one thing I have in common, though, that I've never had in any of these other places is everybody in this house has been to prison. So there is no judgmental thing about, he's been to jail or he's been to prison. You know, it takes that factor out of it. Yeah, I have. And I'm the older guy that's done more time than probably all these guys put together. But the bottom line is, they can't look at me and go, hey, you've been to prison. Yeah, you have too, you know? And that's where they gave me that chance. They're like, we're not going to judge you. No. And we're not going to trust you or respect you as you move into the house, but we will give you that chance, because that's what I asked for. I said, look, you ain't got to respect me, man, and you ain't got to trust me. But if you give me a chance and let me move into this house, I promise you, man, I'll earn your respect, and you'll end up trusting me, man, because you'll see I'm not a grimy dude. I don't steal from people. You know, Chad, I've heard it on your show. We hate sneak thieves, you know. Anybody that'll, like, dude goes out to work and you sneak in his room, it's no different than the joint. If a guy goes behind somebody's back and goes to his locker and drinks his coffee up, or, you know, you can't trust somebody like that. You'll never trust somebody like that. And that's what I explained to him. Like, I don't steal from people. I don't even steal in stores. You know, I don't even go in a store with certain people that I have associated in the past out here, because they stick stuff in their pockets. I am 58 years old now. I have a conscience. I don't feel right if I'm stealing. Now, I'm not no angel. In my whole life I've stolen. In my whole life I've done some grimy stuff. But as I did them years in that solitary confinement, and as I wanted to change, and as I've been working on myself for 8 years, I grew up and now I have a conscience. I can't hurt people for no reason. I can do it to protect myself or protect somebody I love, but I can't steal somebody's property and feel right about myself if I didn't pay for it. Matter of fact, you know, the little bit of money that I get here and there for drawing or this, that, when I go buy something, it feels good to put it on the counter and to get a receipt and to bring it home and go, I paid for that. That's mine.
Hey, man.
Nobody better steal my stuff, though.
Hey, it's part of the process, man.
What?
You listen, man, you're damaged, man. It's part of the process. You're healing, bro. You know, like, hey, man, the show's prison content, but at the end of the day, man, it's really about change, man. It's really about helping other people, man. And, man, you're an example, man. You're an example. This ain't just some show where we put a clickbait thumbnail, man. This is real life right here. People that are watching, man, this is real life. This is a dude that I have never in my life seen vulnerable until today, man. But you know what, man? It's part of the changing process. We all go through it. People don't understand, Jimmy, that, you know, people think, oh, prison's cool, man. They watch these prison shows, Locked Up, 60 Days In, you know, Blood In, Blood Out, the old school movies, you know, American Me. But they don't see this side, man. This is the other side of prison. This is the real side of prison, man. This is how prison fucks you up. It destroys you, man. And then we get put back on the street and we're expected to make it. And a lot of people don't. That's why the recidivism rate is 67%, 70%. Because they throw people out there, man, that don't give a fuck, man. So you got to do it, man. Sometimes you got to do it on your own. And you're fortunate to have people trying to help you, man. People pushing you in the right direction, man. You know, there were some questions I was going to ask you on this. Jimmy, there was questions I was going to ask you on the video, you know, about the Cowboys and about, you know, how you felt when you stabbed somebody and how you felt afterwards. But you know what? Yo, that's going to be, we're going to do that on another video, man. We're going to have, this is going to be a 3-part series, man. And then it'll be, maybe we'll come back again in a couple months and see what you're doing with your life, man. You spilled a lot of stuff today, man. And I respect you for doing it, for coming on the show. And, you know, we're going to get ready to close the show, man. We've been on here for 45 minutes. But what we're going to do, Jimmy, is this. We're going to come back for a 3rd part, man, if people want it. Because I do want to ask you questions, man. I want you to think about them. I want you to think about what it was like, man. I want to know. Don't answer this now. I want to know did you stab people for no reason? What did it feel like when you went to stab someone? How did you feel after you stabbed somebody? You know, I want to know those things. We're going to talk about the Cowboys, man. The cops that were running around wild in Florence and just beating the shit out of people. Or was it Atwater, wherever they were at? I know who the Cowboys were. Those are things I want to talk about, man. But I don't think today's video is the right forum, man. Not with the way that things went. And that's why I tell people, I'm not like other people, man. I don't talk to you before and write down questions and tell you what I'm going to ask you. That's why this shit is real, man. That's why it's raw, man. I'm going to tell people one more time, Jimmy, man, that you're struggling, bro, but you're clean right now. You're sober. You've been going hard. You're in a good house. You know, I'd like to see you have your own home someday. But you know what people don't understand? When I had my own apartment, Jimmy, I was like you, man. I was alone, man. I looked around and said, man, I got money. You know, I'm making good money. I got a brand new couch, brand new TV, brand new bedroom set. I got all this nice stuff, but I'm alone, man. And that's the one thing that people don't understand about being in prison. We don't want to be alone. But I don't know if you want your own house. The environment that you live in, it's, you know, there's no jail bars. There's no cells. You know, there's not, controlled movements. But to a certain point, man, it's like a jail cell, bro, that you're in, man. You got your own room. You got your locker in there. But, man, unfortunately, man, that's what prison does to us. It makes us feel like we want to stay in that environment, man, because that's the only place that we really feel safe at, man. And we don't want to be alone, man, and I know it. And I feel it, man. They don't do this stuff on other prison channels, bro, the stuff we're doing right now. This is the real part, man. This might not be the part that fascinates people or makes people say, oh, wow, man. But you know what, man? It's real, man. This shit is real life, man. Before we close, Jimmy, is there anything you want to say? But we're coming back for a part 3, man.
I just want, as I was saying when I first came onto it today, man, I'm really proud of you, Chad, man. You're really doing it, man. And I listened to you. I even seen you handwrite your book while we were in there, man. And to see it on the wall and see your name on it, that gives me even more validation that, my book could be written. And, man, you're right, man. We have, and this is what I tell a lot of people, man, that we all have a story, man. We all have a story. We all have, a messed up story, a good story. But what makes ours unique is that we survived a system that is designed not to let you survive. We survived a system that is built to break you down. And as just to take a second about what you want to talk about next time is these cowboys. They were a band of cops that actually considered themselves a gang. You know, in the beginning, just as our gangs always justify, well, we're doing the right thing, we're looking out for our people, or we're only getting the scumbags, and that's how them guys did start. You know, they started as correctional officers that were doing the right thing, and then you might have got a couple of bad apples, and then they started influencing the other ones, like, you know, hey, that guy's a weirdo, let's beat him up, man, we have a chance to do it. Their administration within each other, they don't tell on each other, they don't rat snitch, and so they could get away with a lot of stuff to where other people, it took a CO to sneak out folders and medical reports and things like that was going on inside this ADX, was a Supermax. And they would do stuff like, if you got in an argument with one when he was beating you, you might get taken out of that cell that night, extracted out of there, taken down the hall, put into what's like a suicide cell, where they strap you down at 4 points, and they would take turns coming in and punching you in the stomach and laughing and seeing who could. I knocked the wind out of him. I win. You know, it was like a game to them that they were trying to break us like that. Like, punch him in the stomach. He's still breathing. You didn't do nothing. He's not hurt. Because a lot of times, you know, out of anger, you're like, F you, you know, we didn't do nothing to me. Take these things off. I'll fight you. And, the next guy's up. Bam! Just like they're playing baseball or something, to where, and then he would win the game. It started out like that, with, you know, when they wanted to torture us. There's a class act. They sent, you can look it up on, when I tell people this story about what I went through and what a lot of other guys went through in there, like, you know, what we were talking about, Jack or John or whatever that chewed his fingers off, they drive people into doing stuff like that. But when I tell people in society a lot about these guys did this stuff to me and my friends and comrades and homeboys and, you know, just normal guys and stuff, they don't believe it. And then I tell them, because I didn't know nothing about the internet. I didn't know nothing about, you can Google up stuff on the phone. And when I knew it was an actual thing that happened, I knew once this Google stuff and all that, you can look up anything. I looked it up so that anybody can look it up. They've already sent 2 of their officers to prison behind doing what I just told you. Behind doing, to me and other guys, that's just one thing they did. They had all kinds of stuff they used to do, but we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah, we're gonna close the show.
Anybody can look it up.
That's cool. I'm sure people will look it up. Trust me. These people that watch these videos, they look everything up.
It's called Florence, Colorado, ADX, the Cowboys.
So listen, man, I'm gonna close the show, man. Again, I appreciate you. I'm here for you, man, if you need me. You know, people that watch the video all the way to the end, man, it's a real video. You want to donate, man, something to help Jimmy out, we'll put his link up in the description. Make sure you look out for the dude, man. He could use it right now, man. Again, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment. And until tomorrow, we're out.